Yes, hello to everyone who has already joined this meeting for today, this webinar. I want to welcome you from wherever you are. This hitting exactly 11 a.m. East African time. This is the time that the webinar has been set to start. So for those who have already joined, I want to commend you for your time. And today, as we have the heading for the webinar, or rather the topic for the webinar, being mastering procurement of consultant services using FSE ProcureNet. This is going to be our main topic for today, where we are going to be able to see how we can digitalize our procurement processes, how we can be compliant with the various procurement laws and processes, and also how we can be able to manage our procurement in a timely based manner so that we can be able to fast track the tiresome process that comes with the process of procurement, all the way from requisitioning to bidding, and also managing of the tender, and at the point of signing the contract of between the requester and the party that will be rendering these services. So my name is Stephen Achaki, and I'm a consultant at Flagzem System Enterprises Limited. So Flagzem is an IT consultancy company which focuses on provision of business engineering solution to clients, and of course, provision of also various financial systems and advisory when it comes to implementation and support of such systems. Today being the day for the webinar, focusing on one of our key products, that is FSC ProcureNet. We are going to see how we can be able to do the process of procurement. So FSC ProcureNet, FSC ProcureNet procurement system. This is a purely digital system, a web-based system that is used to do various processes when it comes to procurement. And it has some various features, some very important features, which we are just going to look at. First of all, FSC procurement, the ProcureNet system has what we call a budget planning function. So this budget planning enables us to be able to upload the budget, to be able to upload a procurement plan for the year, to be able to track how this budget is being consumed, to be able to split this budget according to the various organizational departments that we have, and also specifying and identifying these budgets depending on the source of the amounts that are going to be used to consume this particular budget. We also have requisitioning management, and basically under requisitioning management, you can be able to initiate requisitions, this is done electronically, and you can specify the details of this requisition, things like maybe item descriptions, and these items are already created in the system. They'll have already been created, and in case it is a new item, of course, it can be added, and then a requisition for the same item can be now raised. You can be able to allocate specific budget codes that are going to be identifiable with each requisition that is going to be made. And of course, automated approval in the system. These approval workflows can be segregated. You can have multiple levels of approval so that you can be able to keep a very transparent, and also be able to combat, to combat issues that comes up when doing procurement processes, knowing that this is a very sensitive area in any organization. We also have supplier management, which is purely done online using the supplier portal, where suppliers can be able to apply for pre-qualifications. They can be able to register so that they can be added to the database of the system, and anytime there is a bid or there is a tender arising, they can be able to get notifications for them to do a competitive bidding. We also have the tender solicitation method, where you can be able to do requests for quotations, request for proposals, and of course, request for expression of interest and bid invitation, which is directly related to supplier management and online bidding. And of course, tender management. And we also have purchase order, that is the PO generation in the system for these specific services or goods that are supposed to be supplied to the company. We also have the catalog management, where in this case, the organization can be able to maintain a catalog of the frequently purchased items, and this will be able to streamline the procurement of common goods, that is the most recurrent goods, most recurrent purchases that the organization usually engages in. The next thing is contract generation and approval in conjunction with the contract management. So the system is able to generate contract documents. These contract documents can undergo the approvals that will be set in the system at the point of implementation. And of course, you can be able to do management and tracking of these contracts, all the way from tracking the objectives or maybe the deliverables of these specific contracts, and agreeing on how even the contract is going to be paid depending on what has been completed and at what point in time, going all through to review and also awarding a contract certificate at the end of the contract period. We also have invoice processing. Now that we have payment of the services under contract, we have invoice processing in the system. And we also have vendor collaboration, where you can be able to be in communication with these suppliers all through the process of the procurement. We also have compliance and reporting, where you can be able to do reports from the system. You can be able to generate reports from the system depending on whatever need you want. Maybe you want to see a list of all the maybe items. You want a budget report from the system to see the details of the budget, how it has been consumed, and what is remaining in what maybe in what allocation. You can be able to do this kind of reports. And of course, you also have integration. This system is fully integrated. It can be fully integrated with other financial system, and this can be a very seamless and very smooth process. Like for example, in some systems, you can be able to send data from the FSE ProcureNet system to some systems, and of course, any other financial system or any other system that you might want to integrate with FSE, so that you can have a proper communication and a seamless transfer of data within the systems. This can be done. We also have email and SMS integration in the system, where at any point or at each and every point of approvals, the related approvers are going to get notified. They're going to get emails to know that there is maybe a pending approval to be done, or maybe your approval request has already been approved, or maybe it has been rejected or sent back for more clarification before it can go further in the approval workflows. And lastly, we also have what we call the asset disposal, which includes auctioning and donation. So this is also a very integral part when it comes to organization processes, where at some point you might want to dispose some of your assets, or maybe you might need to donate them for a specific purpose. So this can also be managed and also tracked and have documents when it comes to the process of disposing such kind of assets. Now, focusing on today's process, that is doing procurement and the tendering process of consultancy services. This is just a simple structure that I've created on today's presentation. so that we can be able to have a glimpse or an idea of how FSE ProcureNet is able to streamline and also fasten your processes. So like in my case, you will see that we have the starting point where a requisition is raised. And then this requisition is going to go through approvals, specific approvals at the first level, where the program manager will have to do the approval of this requisition. That is the manager that is in charge of that specific program. Maybe if it is an NGO or maybe just any other organization that has segregation of these duties, like in the case of the data that I'll be using. And then for me, after the program manager, the head of department in that unit will also have to do the approval of this requisition. And then it goes to the finance officer. After that, the finance specialist or the analyst in the finance department is also going through, is also required to go through that requisition and then submit to the next procurement stage, where now the procurement team is going to come in. And then the procurement analyst will now have to assign this procurement, this requisition to a procurement manager who is now going to prepare the tender. After preparation of the tender by the procurement manager, it will go back to the procurement analyst for publication of this tender. So after publication, of course, every pre-qualified supplier that has been selected for this specific bid will be able to get notifications notifying them that there is a bid that can be applied. So after the application of the bid and the closure of the bidding period, the procurement analyst, in my case, which it might be a different person in an organization depending on their depending on the organizational structure, but in my case, the procurement analyst is going to appoint an evaluation committee. So the evaluation committee is going to contain the evaluators. It is going to contain the secretary, who is the person creating that evaluation. That is, in this case, the procurement analyst, who is the person creating or maybe initiating this process of creation of the evaluation committee. And then we'll have a chairperson who is going to be an overseer of this evaluation period. And then after that, the chairperson of the evaluation committee is going to do a recommendation of the best bidder that is as agreed in the committee. And then the secretary of the committee will now be able to finish the procurement, the evaluation of the bid, and then submit the evaluation report for approvals. And at that point, we'll be able to mark the end of the evaluation and then now begin engagement with the bidder, who will be what? Who will be the favorite as a result of the deliberations of the evaluation committee. So allow me to log into the system so that we can have a very quick overview of what this entails. So when logging into FSE ProcureNet, this is the landing page where you are going to enter your login credential, that is the email and the password that you will have created. And then you will have an OTP sent to your email for purposes of security. So let me wait for my OTP to be sent. Okay, yeah, it is delivered. So you will enter that OTP. Sorry, let me copy an old one. Great. This is the latest email. So I can enter that and then log in. So once you log into the email, or rather into the account, this is the home page that we're going to encounter, where you'll be able to see your details as the user. You can see this is the system admin, and I have a department under the procurement department. I can be able to see the expenditure for the year, that is with regards to the budget. You can be able to see the side menu where we have various functions. And these functions will be available to every user depending on their level of access in the system. So you can see we have all the way from organization. Here you can be able to create entities. You can add an entity. You can view the entities that are in the system. You can see the supply categories, that is the different categories that have been created in the system depending on the nature of the supply required. You can see the departments. You can go all the way to the system setup. You can see even the items. In a case where maybe you are allowed to see this, you'll be able to see. And in a case where maybe you are not part of the stores and inventory and all the creation of the items, you will not be able to see such kind of information because it will be limited to those people. You can see all these with the requisitioning running through to the logout button in the system. Now, let's say in a case where a requisition is now being created. We have requisitions button here. And this requisitions button, you can be able to see that when you click it, and a drop-down menu is going to open where you can create a requisition. You can view requisitions that are planned, that have already been created. You can view requisitions that are unplanned. So planned requisitions in this case means the requisitions that are catered for in the uploaded procurement plan for the year. So, and for unplanned requisitions, these are requisitions that might arise, but they have not been catered for in the procurement plan. So in this case, you'll have to specify which budget line you're going to consume. You have to specify the program. You have to specify details of this particular requisition. So when I go to the icon at the very top right, I can be able to switch my account depending on the level that I have. So I'm a system admin and I can access most of the features, but I believe in an ideal environment, a live environment, will be having a structured matrix that will be assigned to each and every user. So let's say as the head of department of this specific department, I want to do a requisitioning on a consultancy for maybe HR. So HR staff, maybe I want to request some consultancy on hiring, maybe employee talent management, and also just issues that are affecting the HR department. I will go to the requisitions, the requisition setting, and then I will click on the create requisition button. At this point, I'll be able to select what requisition I want, consultancy service, select that, specify if it is, I'll also select, of course, the department. So after that, you can see that we have some information that has now been loaded, and I can specify whether it is a planned requisition or an unplanned requisition. So if it is unplanned, I will select that. And you can see now I have to select the type of purchase. I have to select the currency because it might be in a different currency from what has been uploaded in the system. So the system is a multi-currency system where you can upload a budget, let's say in USD, and maybe this consumption will be in Kenyan shillings. So the system is going to convert these particular prices with regards to the rates that have been set in the system. And of course, for unplanned, I'll also have to specify the source of fund, the department, and also the program, or rather the project in this case. So after creating this, as I mentioned, the requisition will have to go through approvals. So like in this case, we have a requisition number 240, which has been created. When I click on that, I'll be able to see that this requisition is pending approval from the program manager, who the approver is the Stephen Achaki. So we have also head of department. We have the next one who is the finance officer. We have the next who is the finance specialist. So here you can be able to see the requisitions and the level at which they have reached. So let's say, for example, if I do take action as the project manager, I've logged in as Steven Nachaki in this case. You can see at the very top left of the screen, and then approve this. You now see when I go back to check, so let's wait for it to load. You can see that now the program manager or the project manager has approved this, and the next approver in line is now the head of department. So once this requisition has been actioned on completely, a notification will now be sent to what? To the procurement specialist, who is going to do what? Who is going to assign this requisition to a specific procurement manager to action on it. So let's say, for example, if I change my account and maybe just log in as the procurement analyst here, as the procurement analyst, and then go to tendering to click. So once a requisition has passed through the approvals, it will now go to tendering for the procurement analyst to assign. So when I click there, I'll be able to see all the pending tenders that are need to be assigned. So you can see we have this one, 239, in the same department, and I can be able to click on this tender reference, that is the requisition reference, sorry. And then when I click on that, I'll be able to see the previous history and the approvers that actioned on this specific requisition. And of course, when I click on the view details under the same line, I'll be able to see the information from the category, the unit of measure, and running through the budget that is even available for that specific requisition. If there is any attachment that has been attached to that requisition, I'll be able to see or to view the attachments from this point. When I click there, another page will be loaded where in this case, you can see there is a terms of reference which has been attached to this. So in case maybe there is an issue with the TOR, I can go through it and maybe request for more information or more clarification for that, in case maybe this requisition needs to be actioned on it further before it can be assigned. So I can also be able to print this data. I can print that and have it in hard copy, or I can download it and then maybe attach it on an email in case it is needed to be sent somewhere. Now, clicking on the assign tender, I can be able to assign a specific officer. So you can see, I can be able to select an officer. So let's say in this case, I select Nachaki to be the person to prepare this under the procurement department. So you can see there is nothing now here being shown because the one that was here has already been assigned to a procurement manager. So the procurement manager is going to get a notification. So if I'll just log in with that account for the procurement manager, let me log in very fast. Here it is. So first of all, let me go to my email, let it load. Go back here. Yeah, so you can see here, when I refresh, I'll be able to see. So you have previous notifications that were being sent. This is 3 minutes ago. Steven has approved one item, requisition this, awaiting your approval. So yeah, so just as I mentioned, you can see another one has now arrived for tender preparation. You have been assigned by Steven Nachaki to prepare tender reference number 239. So I'll quickly go and log in. And then, of course, we'll send an OTP. So it has just been delivered. I'll copy that, then have it there and log in. So this is the procurement manager. When I go to tendering as the procurement manager, and then click on generate new. So I have some two notifications, and one is an older tender and an older requisition. So the current requisition is this requisition 239. So I'll be able to see the details of the requisition. You can click there, and then it will take me back to the details of the requisition, just the way the analyst was able to see. And then I can go ahead and select which tenders I need to action on. So let's say, for example, that one, I'll just click on that, click OK, and then the next table will be loaded. So here you can see, you'll have to give it a tender title, the currency. Are you doing this, preparing this tender for companies or maybe individual consultants? Is the tendering procurement method maybe a restricted tender, a single sourcing, maybe regional, open tendering, or international? So this is a structured information depending on this organization. So maybe you can have different format, different forms for an organization depending on how you want it to look like. You can also specify the solicitation method. Are you doing maybe a requisition for proposal, or maybe it is just a request for expression of interest in that purpose? You can input the data for flotation days, running all the way to specifying whether this is a tender that will require a pre-bidding meeting or not. So after this, as I mentioned, this tender is now, this particular requisition is now going to be delivered back to the what? To the procurement analyst, who is now going to do what? To publish this specific tender. So when I log in with the account for maybe the procurement analyst here, I will be able to see, let's say I go to unpublished tenders. These tenders are going to be found under the unpublished tenders. So you can see when I go to the unpublished tenders, I'll be able to see some tenders that are pending publication. And I can have, maybe when I click on review, or rather on resume, I'll be able to see the information, or rather the data pertaining those specific tenders. So I can say I have this tender assigned this tender reference 158. And you can see, like for this, I cannot be able to proceed from this point because the data has not been fully created. We also have this one here, where now for this, where all the information has been processed, I can be able to see this information. They have under the selected items, I can see the information about the requisition for this specific tender. So this is the requisition reference, and this is the tender reference. So they are all related for purposes of tracking. We have the identification information for this specific tender. We have the terms of reference area, which is the document that has been attached. You can have it typed, or you can do what? Attach a standard template that you have as an organization. And in case a wrong one was attached, you can remove it and then add a new file. We have the tab for consultants, so you can be able to now see the consultants selected for this specific tender. So these are suppliers that have been pre-qualified in the system. That is, they have applied for pre-qualification. They have been registered in the supplier portal and then approved by the approval hierarchy in the organization. We also have the bidding sheet. So under the bidding sheet, you're going to see information pertaining that specific bid. So this design is fully customizable. This is just a standard template in the system where it is going to contain all the information about this bid. You can see maybe the supplier can specify the list of experts that are going to be engaged, specify the name, the area of expertise, the position assigned, and also the task that is going to be assigned. You can have this a simple Gantt chart where you can have the detailed elaboration of the time frame that this contract period is going to last. You can also attach a specific file, a specific bidding sheet in case it is needed. You can customize this information where you can add more tables, you can add a link, maybe an external link that is required. You can add more pictures, you can add a short video just explaining what you want. It is something that is fully customizable, and you can even change the colors and the fonts of the sheet as well. So under that, we also have the financial form. So this is the financial form, which is also fully customizable. This is just a standard one for the system. And you can see where you can have a summary of costs. You can see here you have the remunerations, which are standard. We have the ones that are going to be reimbursable. We have the tax element, and you can modify this table by adding more information. You can create new tables. You can be able to now go ahead and do a breakdown of the summary of cost. That is for the remuneration. You can specify the number, the person who is going to be engaged, the position, the input number in terms of days, and the daily rate. And you can also add details for the reimbursable expenses, and then you can have it saved, and then it can go to the next stages. So this can be left blank and left for the suppliers to do what, or rather for the bidders, or rather the consultants that are going to bid for these specific services to enter or input their prices so that it can have transparency for this particular process. So you also have the evaluation tab where you can specify whether you have to include the evaluation, that is the administrative evaluation, or you can skip this. So you can select whether to skip or include it. And these evaluations, you can do what? You can amend, you can add, you can remove, and then after that, you'll have to specify the technical. So of course, this technical you can also amend depending on the type of the on the type of tender, and it has a score which totals to 100%. Each score will have its own weight, and we'll also have to specify the minimum technical score that the bidder should attain before they can be considered for the further stages of elimination when it comes to this selection of the favorite bidder. We have the tab for invitation letter, where you can now have the details of the invitation of this tender. And of course, you can have also attachments that are going to be attached for the suppliers to see. And you can also add the documents that you need the suppliers to provide when they are applying for these tenders. So once this tender has been published by the procurement analyst, of course, the bidders are going to submit their bids, and then an evaluation committee has to be created. Now, as the procurement analyst, when I go to the tender committee, still on the same interface, when I click on the tender committee, I'll be able to see all the tenders that have been assigned a committee, approved and finished, and I can also be able to see the ones that are pending. For like in this case, I can be able to see we have 156 and 155, which you have status as approved, meaning these tenders have already been evaluated and they have moved to the next stage. So you can see we just have a very small setup for this case, where we have an evaluator, a secretary, and the chairperson to mimic the composition of an evaluation committee. So these committee members first will have to declare no conflict of interest, which in this case, you can see we have declaration for the same. In case you are conflicted, you have to specify that information so that the necessary steps can be taken. And of course, after specifying this data, or rather this information, the procurement process will go on, the evaluation process will go on, and then the report will be generated. So this report will have to go through approval. So you can see here we have approvals for the same before the committee can be created. Now, after the team has actioned on this evaluation process, the chairperson, of course, will have to do what will have to recommend the best bidder. And then the secretary of the committee is going to close this process and the bidder can be engaged. So once the evaluation has passed or once the evaluation period has elapsed, that process will now move from tendering to bid. So under the bid evaluations, when you click on ongoing evaluations, here is where you're going to find all the evaluations that are ongoing. Pending evaluations, here you'll see all the evaluations that are, all the biddings that are pending evaluation. So you can see like bid 156, I can be able to even view submissions where I will see the bidders that have submitted for this particular bid. I can see the tender information by clicking on the reference. So when I click on the tender, that is on the request for proposal, it will take me back to the requisition reference for this request for proposal. And then I can be able to see that information. So it is something that can be tracked as you view the information, just digging deeper and deeper. I can be able to also print this information whether I want it in Excel or maybe in a PDF. And I can also be able to view this information depending on my level of access in this case. So once that process has completed, those bids are going to go to what? To the completed ones. So when I click on view completed, I'll be able to see all the bids that have passed through the evaluation process. So here you can see when I click on the action button, I can see, I can view the evaluations and how the evaluation went. This is for the administrative, and I can also view for the technical and see how these evaluators, or rather how these bidders scored. I can view bid submission information for all the bidders that have been able to submit for this bid. You can see this is the information about daily operations. And I can also be able to have a group chat. So this group chat is specifically for the persons, or rather the personnel, that will be engaging in the evaluation. So they can communicate in case someone is delaying, in case more information is required, they can be able to chat in an instant. This is a live update chat group where they can be able to communicate. On the top right, where my cursor is, you can see here that we have view financials. So when I click on view financials, I can be able to see the comparison for this evaluation results. And I can also be able to view the evaluation report for that matter. See the information there, the team that acted as the evaluation committee, the evaluation process, the list of bidders who participated, the ones who passed the administrative evaluation, and the ones who failed. And the same way, the evaluation scores for those bidders, running all through to the authentication of this evaluation report by the members of the committee. And I can also print it at that point. So I mentioned before that the chair of the evaluation committee is the one to do the recommendation for these specific bids. So when I log here, as the account that has the credentials of the chair, in my case, I'll be able to see that kind of information. So when I go to bid evaluations, view completed, action, view evaluation, and then view financials. So let me log in as the party. This is the procurement manager. So the chair of that committee will be able to do an evaluation or rather a recommendation for that. So maybe this has already passed, so I'm not able to see, but that is okay. We have an idea of how we can be able to see how this process works. So once this bid has been confirmed, the next process is now to do the award, where the award is going to be also, we will also go through approvals, and then the relevant supplier is going to get notification that they have been able to get this specific award. And then, of course, after that, they can either assign to approve and accept that award, or they can reject and maybe request more clarification in case any is required. So after that, the next thing is now to go and do what? To sign the contract, where now contract management comes in. So when I click on the contract list, or rather on the contract assessment in this case, I'm able to see the list of all the contracts that have been able to have been awarded for specific information. And I can see here we have the contract reference number for this contract that is being listed, and I also have the tender reference for the same. So when I click on the contract reference, this will take me to the details of what led to the award of this contract. So I can see here we have the award letter, which was sent to Daylot for this award. And you can see here that we have a notification that the bidder has confirmed and accepted this specific award. So maybe also see now the award notice. So after the award has been accepted, an award notice will have to be published to notify that this specific bidder has now been awarded this work. And then after that, we'll now go to do what? To draft a contract. So this is the contract information where you'll have to specify the name of the project, specify the contract manager, the project financier. In that case, maybe if it is an NGO and the money is coming maybe from specific sources, you can specify who is financing this. If maybe for a company that is doing it from internal capital, you can also be able to specify that. Here we have the name of the client, we have the contract duration in terms of days, and the project coordinator also specified, and the milestones, depending on the length of the contract and also what you are going to discuss as the parties involved in this process. So below is now the contract letter, where this is now how the contract has been drafted, the information about the contract reference, running all the way down to the personnel who have been able to sign and approve this contract. So on the left, bottom left, you can see you have the one from the requesting company, that is Flagzem System Enterprises. In this case, the name, the title for the person who has signed, the place, rather the location of this company, the date for this for the signature, and the signature also for the first signatory. We also have the participants or rather the contractors on the other end, where we have now information about the company name, the name of the person who is the signatory in this case, the title for that person, the location, the date of signing, and also the signing for the same. And of course, this contract has to go through approvals before it can be able, it can now go ahead and be finalized by these final signatories that are included here. So after maybe the contract period has elapsed, of course, we have to do what? We have to do an evaluation of this contract. You can see this is where the contract can be assessed. And you can see for this case here, we have a team of 3 people who have assessed this specific contract depending on the certification of the client in terms of rendering this service. So you have Grace, you have Nachaki, and also have Steve Nachaki, who have been able to provide ratings for that specific contract. And after that, you can now be able to generate a contract certificate. So here you can be able to view a contract certificate specifying that this contract number, the project, and the consultant's name, whose delegate, procuring entity, in this case, that is Flaxem, and the details of the agreement from the day of the commencement and the day of the expiration of this specific contract, the scope of work, the certification, and of course, the signature of the issuer of this certificate of completion. And after that, of course, there are more, more information like generation of invoices that is depending on the deliverables can also be made available. So maybe if I just log on as a very last, if I just log on the platform, for the suppliers to see, just before I can close, I'm going to enter the details, log in, and then I'll open a tab where I can now be able to see the OTP. So here is the OTP. I can copy that and have it pasted here. So this is Dayload operations. In our case, the ones who are rendering the contract, rendering the consultancy services. So here we have the tenders that have been that this consultant was invited. So you have this tender, which was already awarded, and you have this one that has been submitted. So when I click on the reference, I'll be able to see. So this one that has been awarded, I believe this one is the one that we are dealing with in the system. Yeah, this one is it. So you'll be able to see that the contract reference 155, that is the FRP, that is the request for proposal, invitation letter. We have the tender details. We have the terms of reference. We have the publication information for that tender. We have the information about the addendum. So you can see when the closing date was amended, and also any clarification history, you will be able to see it here. So under contracts, we have active contracts. You can see when I click on that, be able to see any contract that is active. If there is any completed, I'll be able to see that information there. So when I click here, I'll be able to see that this is the contract, I believe. Yeah, this is the one that is on the other side of the system, where we have Steven Achaki, Gabi as the CEO here. Yeah, and you can see information about the award letter, the contract, the interaction, if there is any. We have information about the work plan and the deliverables. You can see all of these have been delivered, but not yet initiated for payment in the invoice status. So once the invoice has been initiated on the other side, on the other end, processed, this is going to turn to paid. We also have the progress report for purposes of tracking, depending on the deliverable. So we had 3, you have 1, 2, and 3, and also have approval of the same. We have, in case there is any issues that were lodged, you can see that here. And in case of the invoices, you can see now the invoices were uploaded, approved, but not yet paid on the other end. So once this has been processed, you can be able to now see information under the work action plan as paid. So this is the simple process of doing the process of procurement of consultancy services using FSE ProcureNet. It is a very simple process. Of course, when you have defined structures, you have specific persons who are going to act as approvers, the ones who are going to evaluate, running through to the ones who are going to engage in the contract preparation, and of course, tracking of the contract all the way to the finishing of the work. So this marks the end of our very short demonstration.
FSE ProcureNet system has you covered. Call us on our official line or visit us on our website or our social media handles to request for a demo, and one of our team members will sort you out as soon as possible. FSE ProcureNet, streamlining our procurement processes.